a variety of manners by different segments of the early church. There were those who believed that Jesus was just a mortal man who had a very special relationship with God. Then there were those who agreed with Theodotus of Byzantium that Jesus was born a mere man and attained the ability to work miracles at the time of his baptism. Some of Theodotus's students later believed that Jesus became God after his resurrection. And then there were those known as monarchians who believed that God and Jesus were one and the same from the beginning of time. Some believed that Jesus was created, and some of those believed that he was fully human but shared his body with the Son of God. Others who believed Jesus to be human believed he was adopted by God. Those whose understanding eventually won out believed that Jesus was fully human and fully God at the same time, as 78. Development of the Christian doctrine exemplified by the traditional doctrine of the Incarnation, as briefly discussed next. Doctrine of Incarnation. The doctrine that was codified and eventually accepted in 325 by the First Council of Nicaea is basically that Jesus Christ was the incarnation of the second person of the Trinity, and was truly God and truly a man at the same time. All other understandings were decreed to be heretical by the conference. We will examine the doctrine of the Trinity in a later chapter. Here we will look just a bit more closely at just a few other views as illustrations of the diversity in early Christian thought. Peter Kirby's excellent website at http://earlychristianwritings.com provides much of the following information and quotes on the Docetists and Nestorianism. Last accessed December of 2014. Docetists. Docetism was the view that Jesus was divine and only appeared to be human, and his physical body did not actually exist but was an illusion. In his An Introduction to the New Testament, University of Chicago Press, 1937, p. 318, Reverend Edgar J. Goodspeed writes of the Docetists. They held that his sufferings were only seeming and not real, and hence were known as Docetists or Semists. Their views found expression some years later in the Gospel of Peter, AD 125-50, and in the Acts of John, ca. AD 160. In the Gospel of Peter, Jesus on the cross held his peace, as though he felt no pain. His last cry was, my power, you have forsaken me." In the Acts of John, John says, "Sometimes when I would lay hold of him, I met with a material and solid body, and at other times again when I felt him, the substance was immaterial and as if it existed not at all. His feet left no footprints on the ground." Chapter 93. He seemed sometimes tall, sometimes short. His breast was where did the concept come from. 79. Sometimes hard, sometimes tender. Chapter 89. While he was apparently being crucified down in Jerusalem, John saw him and talked with him in a cave high above the city, and Jesus said to him, "John, unto the multitude down below in Jerusalem I am being crucified, and pierced with lances and reeds, and gall and vinegar are given to me to drink. But I am speaking to you, and listen to what I say." Chapter 97. "Nothing therefore of the things they will say of me have I suffered." Chapter 101. F. Bruce writes Jesus and Christian Origins Outside the New Testament, Eerdmans Publishing County 1974, p. 93. The docetic note in this narrative appears in the statement that Jesus, while being crucified, remained silent, as though he felt no pain, and in the account of his death. It carefully avoids saying that he died, preferring to say that he was taken up, as though he